a question I've heard a few times, and maybe some of you have asked yourself the same question. Maybe that's why you're here. Reflecting on it, and you probably have reached the same conclusion as me, this is probably not the right question. Maybe a better question is, what can we learn from the rise of super apps in Southeast Asia and other parts of the globe? In my perspective, we can learn at least two things from that. The first one is super apps are not necessarily the goal, and a goal in itself. They are an outcome of an incremental journey where an organization having an established relationship with a customer base is expanding, is leveraging this relationship and expanding the services they are providing to be more and more present in the customer lifestyle and in the customer journeys. The second learning from super apps is that it doesn't really matter what your core business is as a brand, what you're known for initially. If you understand this customer journey and the customer needs, a quite large variety of activities and services can come together, even if you don't expect it, but because they are mapping to this customer need. Finance, or embedded finance, is one of them. It's a recurring theme that we see across not just super apps, but all solutions that expand beyond just the core business of the organization, of the brand. Finance can vary all the way from just smoother payments, making sure that payments remain seamless in the customer journey, all the way to a fully embedded banking service. What matters is to find the right balance with what your customers are looking for. So this shows us that payments, especially for more traditional brands, more traditional merchants, payments is moving. It's already moved from maybe a cost center, maybe the thing that we don't really want to have to talk about because that means there is something going wrong. We just want it to happen in the background, to actually a driver of business, both through the experience, seamless experience that it can provide to the customer, all the way to being a new service line, being a new revenue generating area for the business. My name is Octavian Puzderca. I'm part of the Mastercard services organization. We work with merchants, banks, or everyone in the ecosystem to help them around their challenges related to payments and finance and beyond. And what I'd like to do today is just to highlight one simple message, which is that embedded finance should now be on the agenda for consideration for all brands, all merchants should at least ask themselves, what does that mean for us? What can we do with that, and how does that fit in our customer's journey? And obviously the entire ecosystem behind that as well, acquirers, PSPs, are part of this journey as well to support the brands in their objectives. Let's start our discussion with the customer. What we see, and this is just some examples, these are just some examples, what we see is that customers are expecting more and more having to have financial services, to have embedded finance in their relationship with brands. I would say there is nothing worse than having to interrupt a customer's journey with your brand because of the need to go to another provider for financial activities, be it in order to be able to fulfill a payment for your own business, or be it because they have different needs and they would like to fulfill them with your brand because they trust it, but they don't find the service there. An illustration of that is the expectation in the rise of wallets, which is one element, one solution in that space, which are expected to continue their exponential growth and almost double by 2025. As we know, merchants have already started to look at this space. It's not brand new. That's what we can see with the super apps. Many tech brands, digital giants, have for several years already expressed intent to invest and to go in the space. Some have actually realized it. But actually, what we see is that this is not only reserved for fintechs or tech brands and digital giants, but every brand should, even traditional retail, traditional merchants, have the opportunity to reflect on this and should have a strategy around this. And we already see that coming with more and more brands saying that they are looking to invest in the space. They are looking to grow and develop their presence in the space. Wallets and credit are probably the natural place where more traditional brands are playing to start. It's a natural part of their customer journey. For big ticket item merchants, it's actually an accelerator of sales, for example, having access to loans at point of sale, or having access to buy now, pay later offerings, or even a co-branded card can help reach bigger baskets, can help increase frequency. Until recently, or until now, more advanced embedded finance offerings like accounts or even a full stack banking offering seem to be more reserved for fintechs or potentially the digital giants. But that again is evolving, and there are opportunities for all brands as long as it matches with their customers' expectation and the trust and the relationship their brand have with their customers. Loyalty is probably an interesting bridge, a natural bridge on this journey for the more traditional brands. Having built the trust and a differentiated relationship with the customer through a loyalty program, through a loyalty app, starting to embed financial offerings that go beyond just making your purchase with my brand easier is a natural path. So this is where we see some of the more traditional retail moving as well, be it department stores, mobility providers, and others who are starting to merge loyalty and payments more and more. Once we establish the need or the opportunity, the other big question is, how do we make this happen? For some brands, for them tech-native brands, all this seems to be just a continuation of the technology and the processes they already have. For others, this seems to be very distant, seems to be an almost different ecosystem they have to play with if you're a more traditional brand, if I may say. So the question is, how can you successfully succeed on this journey, regardless of where you're starting from, regardless of what the background of the brand and the history of the brand is? We've worked with many brands on this type of journeys. And in my experience, what is most important is to think about it in an end-to-end manner, is to think about all the way from the strategy, what we are trying to achieve, how does embedded finance fit with our customers' needs, expectations, and potential desires, all the way to how do we actually make it happen on the other hand of the spectrum. What is the tech? What are the solutions that we're going to deploy to make it happen? And every step on this journey, which to make it easier, I've kind of broken down into these three main steps. Every step on this journey has its challenges and is important for the final success. To define the strategy, to define what we are trying to achieve, obviously a great understanding of the customer is important. So data is important. What do our customers want? What do they do when they shop with us? But also, what do they do when they shop elsewhere? What is their overall lifestyle? What is their life stage? How do we fit in their spend behavior? And therefore, what would be a natural place for us as a brand to move next, to offer something new, to offer something, a finance offering? This also means understanding what are the right partners, what are the right technologies that we want to aim for to get to the experience that we want to achieve for them. Secondly, on the design part, many components there, but one of the most important, one of the most critical elements I've seen is really recreating the customer journeys in which the offering, the different financial offerings that the brand is considering will fit, and how that will impact this customer journey, how that will enhance and expand the customer journey. Nothing better than having a multifunctional team in a room doing a design sprint, considering all the different angles and bringing it to life and understanding all the dark spots that we haven't explored yet and that we need to, all the use cases that we may not have thought. Because, to be sure, the customers will find any loopholes in the experience that you've designed for them. And finally, the last one is around actually making it happen, implementing the solution that you have defined and designed through all this, with all this effort. My advice there is that there is already a lot off the shelf. There is already a lot of technology, a lot of services that exist that can be leveraged and pulled into the ecosystem of any brand to make it a more seamless effort and a more efficient effort, all the way from front ends that can be leveraged, even pieces of code that can be leveraged, so that you don't have to recreate the wheel, especially if your brand is not a tech native. Leveraging, understanding what's out there and how much you can leverage so that you can focus on what will really make your offering distinctive and specific to your brand is also critical. Given the time, I will probably jump straight to an illustration of this last point, which is how you can leverage technology in order to accelerate the deployment process of your solutions. So one of the exercises we've done with partners is to develop different type of white label solutions, all the way from a full stack app to pieces of code and a wallet in the middle, so that any organizations that wants to deploy their solution, they can pick whatever they want and adapt that to their own ecosystem and to their own user experience. So that's much more efficient, lower cost, and finally helps focus the efforts on what really matters, which is the end experience of the customer and what they are actually seeing when they're interacting with you. So to conclude, embedded finance is obviously here. It's an opportunity not just for fintechs, not just for tech giants, but for all brands, depending on how they've established their brand and their trust with their customers, based on their understanding with their customers. Customers want it. The rise of super apps is a proof of that, but there is no cookie cutter approach. There is no magic solution. Every brand needs to develop, understand what their customer wants. Merchants are already investing into it. Some have been very successful already, but the space is still big. And the barrier to entry, especially the technological barriers to entry, are lower and lower, which means that you don't need to be a tech native brand to be able to successfully play in this space. Thank you very much.